So when we talk about purchase management, I think the very first thing that we would have to talk about would be our suppliers, because that is what drives our purchase orders. So we would have to go ahead and first create our suppliers. And this is our supplier screen where you enter in your ID and name. I think those are like the mandatory fields that you would have to enter. Then you can go ahead and select all the other fields that you would want, like your currency, your group, your terms, your payment method, and all of that can be selected here. You have all these are like drop boxes where you can also add in anything that you want for like the currency or for the group terms, your payment methods. Once you have all of those information in, then you have your purchase points. Purchase points are, they represent specific shipping or service locations for a supplier. You can enter in like multiple distinct shipping addresses, contacts, or terms and all that in here, and you can make one of them like your primary purchase point also. Then you have your contacts, your supplier contacts. They allow you to store all these specific names, their roles, what is your contact roles, your phone number, email addresses, and all that. And then also you can designate one contact as your primary contact for purchasing or billing. And then the other one that if at all you're using any electronic files for your invoices and all that, then you would have to enter in your supplier bank details. Now, if you're not using that, I don't think you need to enter this, but just make sure if you have any kind of electronic interface files, make sure that you fill in all these information in, because this is where it's going to take in, put in all that into your files. Once you have this, then you would have to, in your suppliers, you would have to give in all your supplier details, your payment terms, your bank details, and all that. And then also your approved supplier lists. That would be an important thing to set up too. We're not really looking much into the supplier pricing lists and all that over here, but that would be one area which you would have to fill into. Once you have all these supplier information in here, then you can go ahead and start entering in your purchase order. And I think the mandatory fields here would be to first enter in my previous screenshots, I just created like a test supplier, and then that's what I put in here. That would be your first and important field to fill in, your supplier field. And then also you would have to fill in your buyer. By default, the user that you're logged in, the buyer, the authorized buyer would come up. But if at all you're not authorized for anything, then you can't really save your purchase order. So once you fill in these fields, next you would have to go ahead and start entering in your purchase order line, where you have different types of purchase orders. Like it could be an inventory one, it could be your job material or a job subcontract. So these purchase orders, they allow us to create, approve, and track all these supplier purchases. And like we're going to look at it a little later too, you also have the blanket purchase orders that can be filled in. And then here the key steps are, you go ahead and fill in your purchase order header, and then you can come down here and fill in your lines. And then you also set up like your releases for the delivery dates. And then so on these purchase orders, you can receive quantities on a single purchase order line at different times and at various locations using these releases. Like, you can just like the way the blanket or a purchase orders works, like at multiple times, you can just release different quantities of the purchase order part that you have that is going out. Now, once you have that filled in, these are your releases, wherein like, I think these are your releases where you can give in the quantity for this particular release. It need not be your total purchase order line quantity, because you can just release in like some of them at one particular time. Like in this screenshot, we can see that on 2/12 we're releasing this. Then in March we're releasing another 30 more. So then your line, it just gets updated to your total quantity based on the releases that are going out. Then once you have your purchase orders filled in, you have your PO approval. Your purchase order approval process, it involves setting buyer limits in your buyer maintenance. And then when the purchase orders exceed the limit, then they go into your pending status, and the authorized user approval is needed before the purchase order is actually approved. Like in this case, for my user Brian, I set my buyer limit to 10,000, but my purchase order that I created would have been for like 10,100. So then you can't really approve it immediately. It goes for your purchase order approval. And here we can see like how it goes into your pending approval status. And then in your PO approval screen, that is where you would go, and then you can either accept it or reject it, and then put in the comments that you want. So for this buyer, we since the purchase order limit is this one, we also have to see who are the authorized users, and then the this purchase order can be approved by them. So here we can see how it was either like accepted, or it was either rejected. You here in this drop down here, you can see all the ones that are either processed or accepted, rejected, and all that. Next is our PO suggestions. So purchase order suggestions are system generated recommendations. They are produced via the MRP or this generate suggestion screen to fulfill your inventory, job, or order demand. Now here you have two processing options, either the net change or the regenerative. Net change is it updates any existing purchase order suggestions that occurred since the last time this process was run. Regenerative is it deletes existing purchase order suggestions and then generates completely new records. Yeah, once these suggestions are generated, then the buyers can go ahead and review them, and then they can either convert them to a purchase order or just like disregard them. This is your purchase order suggestion screen, wherein you have all your new PO suggestions or your change PO suggestions, and then you can filter it down based on your buyer or your supplier or your part, and then you can see when the due date is, and then this is where you can go ahead and buy the buyers can actually go ahead and buy the convert it into a purchase order. Now, these suggestions, they are mainly based on the direct demand from jobs or orders, or they come from your min or max levels or your safety stocks. So based on these, your suggestions come up. Now, for maximum accuracy, just ensure that parts have this generate PO suggestions checked in your part maintenance. This is in your part. You would have to check this generate PO suggestions. And then these parts, they come up in your PO suggestions then. If at all, sometime you see that suggestions don't appear, then it's probably because that part was not marked for this one. The new PO suggestions, these are just like the new PO suggestions that are created. And the change ones are the ones that you can either modify or cancel based on the existing purchase orders. And then the way that it would work is once you select on either of these records, your PO suggestion details screen opens up. This is where you can either convert it into a purchase order, you can create your RFQ, or you can approve your PO and all that. Once you check on buy, and then you can go ahead and give in your quantity, check your enter your unit price, and then you can go ahead and do your process suggestions. And then for that buyer, you can see that you can generate the purchase orders or your RFQ suggestions. RFQ is nothing but your request for quotation. So either you can do the purchase order or your RFQs here. And then it adds these suggestions into your buyer workbench. Here you can see like how when you go ahead and do that, okay, in the previous screen, you can see that either your PO is created or your RFQ is created here. Your BIOS workbench, this is just like a standard centralized dashboard, which has everything related to your either your RFQs, your purchase orders, and everything. It's like a central place where you can look at where the buyers can just like look at everything at one place instead of going to multiple screens. And then here in your BIOS workbench, you can like go ahead and select, this is the new suggestions. So the one that I just created would actually come up over here. We can see that it's the same thing, like, yeah, like it's similar to our PO suggestion screen. It's just that you have everything at one place for the buyer to go ahead and look at. This is your RFQ suggestions, and then you can go ahead and you can do the same thing that we did in our purchase order suggestion screen. Like, you can go ahead and check your create RFQ for the part, and then you can see how it takes you to your RFQ suggestion details screen. Then you can go ahead and select your create RFQ checkbox here, and then um, it creates your RFQ. Our next topic here is our requisitions. So requisitions are mainly, these are requests for part that are non-inventory items, which upon approval, they convert into purchase orders or PO suggestions. So like, usually this is for parts that are not in our system. Let's say like it's a completely new part that you want to go ahead with, then you put in your requisition screen, you put that in, and then it goes and someone has to like approve it, and then once it is approved, this gets converted into a PO suggestion. So a purchase requisition is like an internal document which is used by employees to request authorization to buy goods or services. Now, a purchase order is more like an external thing where you actually send it to a vendor and you fulfill your request. This is more like an internal process where you actually submit your requisition for a new part that is not in the system, and then it has to get approved. So yeah, so you go ahead and like you can create your new PO requisition here in your requisition screen. Like here, I've just given like an example test new part here, and then I give the supplier, and then I would go ahead and like save this. And then once you save this, what happens is like this, the little arrow mark kind of a thing here, that gets enabled, and it says like you can dispatch your requisition, and that is what you have to click on. Once you do that requisition dispatching, then you have the screen where you can approve it, reject it, and then you can like put in your action. Which action are you doing? Are you approving the price, the purchasing, and things like that? You can go ahead and put that in here, and then either it goes into your pending status, or depending on are you approving it or pending, it just goes into that status. In your requisition actions, that is where you would actually give like, these are your requisition actions that just came up here in your screen when you're doing this requisition dispatching. Now in this here, you can go ahead and like add in anything, and then you can also like, once you click on once you select something here, you can say what has to happen. Should it directly go to purchasing? Should it notify the requester? And things like that. All of that you can put in here in your requisition action. Once it is approved, then it changes into your approved status. And then once this is approved here, that is when you can see your PO requisition in your, okay, I don't have the screenshot, but once this is approved here, that is when it goes into your PO suggestions screen. Like, unless it is approved, you don't see this new part in there. But once it is approved, now you can start seeing your new part in your suggestion screen. So yeah, so basically we create a requisition, we add in the part, the quantity, the vendor details and all that, and then we submit the requisition. Once your manager or the purchasing agent reviews it, they either ask for details or then they approve it, and then these approved lines become your PO suggestions, which then the buyer can convert it into a purchase order. And typically, if you don't see like if you're not seeing your requisition, if you're not seeing it, your new PO requisition in your suggestion screen, it could be that there could be a couple of things. It could be that you are not an authorized buyer for that, for the buyer on the PO suggestions. Or the other thing would be like, see how in your requisition actions you have a couple of things selected as mandatory action. So I think what happens is you would have to first fulfill all the mandatory actions before you can actually send it to before it can actually be sent to purchasing. So like when I was doing my requisition screen, I was going back and forth and seeing like why it wasn't coming up on my PO suggestions. That was because I had not done all the requisition actions in that order. So that's why it wasn't coming up. Once I had all these mandatory actions done, then I was able to see it on my suggestion screen. It got approved, and then I was able to see it on my suggestion screen. So so yeah, once it's approved, it goes into PO suggestions, and then you can just convert it into a purchase order. Then our next topic would be the blanket and Kanban PO. So in our blanket POs are nothing but they are long-term agreements for a total quantity that has to be released over time. And our Kanban POs they're pull-based automated replenishment triggers linked to part inventory levels, which are designed to automatically create new releases to maintain your inventory. So basically the main difference is like blanket POs is something that, you know, over time you are releasing, like let's say the original quantity was for original quantity was 1,000, and then, you know, like every month you're releasing around like 100 of those parts. That is blanket POs, where like it goes on for a long-term agreement with the supplier. Whereas Kanban POs, they are like, let's say you set some kind of an inventory level on your part, and then once that it is going below that level, then it automatically creates a PO, and then, you know, it sends that out to your supplier. So all that it can be put in your this is the part screen in your warehouse details. You can select your in this space for warehouse replenishment. You can select the type, and then you can put in your replenishment purchase order and your blanket PO also. This was a relatively newer thing that came up in our newer versions after 2024, but your the Kanban POs, these you had it before in your older versions also. You create a blanket PO by initiating a standard PO for the total quantity, and then you set a distant expiration date, and then you create releases for each shipment. So this is where in your warehouse detail, you set up your bin replenishment. This is in your part screen in the warehouse details. And then your Kanban PO, a new PO release is generated for the PO linked to a part process, and then you set up your purchase part as the Kanban replenishment, which we saw in the previous screen, and then you attach a PO and line to part entry. Each time this part quantity on hand, if it goes below your replenishment point, then a new PO release is created automatically. The Kanban functionality removes approval for the PO and creates a new release. So basically, like for your blanket POs, you have to go through the PO approval process also. But for your Kanban PO, it like you don't have to. It just like automatically goes ahead and creates the PO for you. And then you select your purchase. Yeah, in the previous screens that we saw, we select the purchase type as Kanban replenishment type, and then you enter your minimum quantity on hand, your safety quantity, and your maximum quantity on hand, and then you enter the Kanban quantity, and then multiples, and then the PO release for that is automatically created. Yep, as you use your parts from inventory, each time your part is going below your minimum or your safety stock, a new PO release will automatically be created, and then the release quantity will be in multiples of your replenishment or your Kanban quantity that you entered. The Kanban POs, it just enables faster turnaround time, and then, you know, just because, you know, you don't have to worry about your part not being on stock. And then one of the recommendations here is to have a dashboard with your expiring blankets or your maximized blankets, just because, you know, once it is like the blanket PO, you don't know the future date that it was set on, right? And then once the date is approaching, it's better if you have a dashboard that shows you that, so that you can reach out to the vendor if they want more, or, you know, like you can close that PO for things like that.